Yeah. Good evening, everyone. You have a few minutes for everybody to fall in line here. I have to have my phone over here. Today's topic is the Rice Street Jail in Fulton County, Georgia, which is Atlanta. The Department of Justice finished up their um, investigation, and what they found was rather disturbing and atrocious. I'm going to play the press conference for y'all. Hey, Zach. I got the press conference for the Rice Street Jail. That's the wrong button. Right here. It's 53 minutes. We're not going to play all of it, but we'll play most of it. I want to play it on my phone, stupid thing. I have to shut the TV off. Oh, so how's Zach today? Player. Let me open it. Why is it doing this? Stupid thing. Here, we'll do this one. This one is 30 minutes. Come on. Stupid phone. Close player. Maybe I gotta close this. I'm not the best with technology, Zach. Oh, you just got up? There we go. Want. Yeah, this one. Here. Fast forward till we see people standing there. Right. Come on, where'd you go, lady? Good job. Yeah, I didn't want to play all that stuff at the beginning. Is it going to make me go back? Yeah. Here, we'll do this. Get that one out. Oh, not now. Gotta do that. And there's one right here. There we go. I got it. Can you hear that okay, Zach?
mechanical deficiencies in the environment, such as unlocked doors and large holes in the walls, permit and even facilitate the brutality. Incarcerated people use makeshift weapons built out of jail fixtures to attack others, including vulnerable people with mental health needs and 17-year-old young people. In 2023 alone, we identified 314 stabbings and more than 8,000 assaults. This rate of violence exceeds what we've seen in other cities across the country. The Fulton County Jail had as many stabbings in a single month as the Miami-Dade County Jail had all year. And that's a facility with 1.5 times more people. Since 2022, 6 people in the jail have lost their lives to violence. I'll walk through additional core findings set forth in the report that we're issuing today. Living conditions at the jail are hazardous and unsanitary. Housing units are flooded from broken toilets. Roaches, rodents, and pests abound. Standing water, exposed wiring, and vermin make living areas unsafe. The jail does not provide enough food, leaving people severely malnourished. The jail fails to provide constitutionally adequate medical and mental health care to people at the jail, exposing people to preventable bad outcomes, including injury, seriousness, illness, pain and suffering, mental health decline, and even death. The lack of security staff and failure to prioritize health services impede access to care. Medical emergencies do not receive appropriate medical responses. People at risk of suicide do not receive sufficient protection, and people with serious mental health needs do not receive adequate treatment. The jail uses solitary confinement, also known as restrictive housing, in discriminatory and unconstitutional ways that expose people, particularly 17-year-olds and people with mental health disabilities, to risk of harm, including acute mental illness and self-injury. The jail uses lengthy confinement in restrictive housing as punishment without written explanation, which violates due process. As Georgia is one of only 4 states where the juvenile justice system's jurisdiction ends at 16, there are 17-year-old boys and girls also held at the jail. And these 17-year-old boys and girls are exposed to particular harm. The jail does not provide special educational services to 17-year-olds who are entitled to them under a federal law known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It fails to protect these children from violence, including sexual abuse, and it uses isolation to punish them, which both violates their rights and contradicts clear research that such isolation uniquely harms our young people. The jail staff also uses excessive force. This includes deploying tasers without reasonable cause. For example, detention officers tased a man after he said he felt like hurting himself and needed to see a mental health specialist. Such violations stem from understaffing, poor policies, and lack of training and supervisory failures. The summary that I have just shared is harrowing enough, but individual experiences are gut-wrenching. For example, LaShawn Thompson, a Black man with serious mental illness, entered the jail on low-level charges and was confined to the mental health housing unit. 3 months later, staff found him dead in his cell, infested with lice, and as a medical examiner concluded, neglected to death. Several months before that, another Black man with serious mental illness died after he stopped taking his medication. 2 more Black men with mental health disabilities were murdered by their cellmates. Weeks after we opened our investigation, 6 more Black men died at the jail. All of this is a racial justice issue. 91% of the people living in these abhorrent, unconstitutional conditions are Black, as compared to 45% of Fulton County's overall population. It's also important to note that the vast majority of the approximately 2,000 people held at the jail have not been convicted of a crime. They are awaiting hearings and have yet to be tried, many of them. There are also a significant number of people with mental health disabilities. During our investigation, we worked closely with correctional, medical, mental health, and educational experts. We physically inspected the jail and observed housing units. We visited medical and mental health service areas. We reviewed thousands of pages of documents and interviewed dozens of jail staff and leadership. And we listened to the people held inside the jail and their advocates and their family members. We thank officials for their cooperation, and we thank all of those who provided valuable information and whose advocacy predates this investigation. I'll note that officials have taken preliminary steps to improve conditions, but they simply are not enough. We hope our findings report sounds an alarm that will prompt the Fulton County Board of Commissioners and the Sheriff's Office to swiftly implement the comprehensive reforms necessary to ensure constitutional conditions going forward. At the end of the day, people do not abandon their civil and constitutional rights at the jailhouse door. Jails and prisons across the country must protect people from the kind of gross violations and unconstitutional conditions that we have uncovered here. I'll now turn the floor over to U.S. Attorney Buchanan.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Buchanan, and I'm the United States Attorney here in the Northern District of Georgia. 1974, Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall wrote, "When the prison gates slam behind an inmate, he does not lose his human quality. His mind does not become closed to ideas.
We'll talk about that.
His yearning for self-respect does not end, nor is his quest for self-realization concluded." 50 years later, our comprehensive investigation into the conditions of confinement at the Fulton County Jail has, at its basic level, revealed that the men and women and young people who find themselves housed at the jail are often left to wonder whether their humanity remained intact once they crossed the threshold of the jail facilities. Whether at the main jail, which is known to many in our community as Rice Street, or at its annex facilities, people in custody in Fulton County who are accused of crimes or awaiting formal charges or trials must protect themselves from brutal physical attacks by other detainees, subjected to frequent excessive force, manage their well-being with inadequate food and unsanitary living conditions, and hope that they can find access to a mental health care program. The most obvious cases of the civil rights violations occurring in the jail are those who leave the jail in body bags. But our investigation has revealed hundreds more injured, traumatized, and dehumanized people, all of whom are just as deserving of the protections of the Constitution as all of us in this room. Since we announced our investigation in July of 2023, the United States Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia and the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice have worked diligently to meet our shared mission, to advance the public safety, to uphold the rule of law, and to protect civil rights. There is no greater example of this mission at work than protecting and vindicating the rights of those who are under the custody and control of jail authorities, who themselves are duty-bound to protect the public and those in their custody.
Welcome,
We began our
everyone.
investigation after LaShawn Thompson was found in his cell, neglected to death, covered in lice. His death, several more young men in the jail had died. and many died violent deaths. Our investigation revealed unacceptably high incidents of assaults and stabbings, and in some cases, most disturbingly, jail staff witnessed and allowed the attacks without intervention. 2023 alone, there were over 1,000 assaults and more than 300 stabbings in the Fulton County Jail. Outpaces the rate of similar assaults in other major city jails almost 2 to 1. Those numbers only reflect the reported attacks. Many detainees told our team that they explained that they feared for their safety. They were reported that they had been stabbed or assaulted. One such detainee was left untreated for a week until our team alerted the jail of his injuries. Also unaccounted for in these disturbing numbers are numerous allegations of violent rape, sexual assault, and harassment. The crisis of violence in the Fulton County Jail has resulted in part because of a lack of effective classification and housing planning, which allows for extremely violent individuals and gang members to be housed with vulnerable and low-risk individuals. And particularly, vulnerable individuals are most subject to violence in the jail, including people with serious mental illness,
this is important.
gay and transgender detainees,
lawyer is done,
and 17-year-olds.
we're going to talk about the actual conditions.
In addition, the Fulton County Jail employs too few guards relative to the number of detainees to keep people safe, and poor maintenance of basic fixtures allows violence to go unchecked. But numbers aside, jail staff are often unaware of violence because they conduct inadequate security rounds. We uncovered incidents where hours or even days passed before victims of assaults were discovered by staff. In one shocking case, while an officer sat in an observation tower, a man was killed with his hands and his feet bound. It's not found until his body was extremely cold. Additionally, hundreds of broken light fixtures and cell doors allow violent detainees to move about at will in the shadows. The very walls of the facility. Equally alarming, men and women in the Fulton County Jail also experience violence from the staff. Our investigation showed that the crisis of violence, the lack of security at the Fulton County Jail, is paired with staff that resort to the use of force too quickly and too often. We found that staff were regularly deploying tasers and pepper spray without any warning, and for minor rule infractions like failing to hang up a phone quickly enough, yelling, or not putting items away as instructed. The rampant use of tasers is particularly disturbing. The risk of cavalier deployment of tasers is not just the temporary pain of electrocution. Detainees have been hospitalized for serious injuries caused by probes that are embedded in sensitive parts of the body, like the neck and even in the bone. The excessive use of force in the jail is not confined to a few bad actors. Officers lack policy and training guidance on whether and when force is appropriate, and when officers cross the line, the jail rarely holds them to account. In some cases, a policy is glaringly inconsistent with established use of force techniques. Written policies explicitly state that staff may deploy their tasers against suicidal or emotionally disturbed persons without any assessment of danger to themselves or to others. Staff are use force when a person interrupts their work. And the use of force reports and supervisor reviews bear this out. Supervisors rarely assess a need for the use of force if they do it at all. Perhaps most concerning, our investigation showed that even when the jail determines that an officer used excessive force, discipline is virtually non-existent. Those officers go back to their jobs to repeat the same conduct. Aside from the glaring risk of violence, detainees face the insidious threat of unsafe living conditions, constant exposure to rodents and pests, and an unsettling disregard for food safety. Detainees in the Fulton County Jail lack basic necessities like working toilets and sinks, and are exposed to flooding, standing water, mold, and what can only be described as filth. Pests carrying bacteria and disease not only run rampant in food preparation areas, but have infested the bodies of the people in the jail, people like LaShawn Thompson. Earlier this year, our team was evacuated from a housing unit in the jail because of a lice outbreak. Given the high incidence of violence in the jail, the need for adequate medical and mental health care is critical. But Fulton County Jail has failed to provide constitutionally adequate care to the men, women, and young people in the custody of the Fulton County Jail in virtually all respects. For a time, because of the unsafe conditions in the jail, Fulton County's health care provider, NAFCare, nearly terminated its contract to provide medical and mental health services for fear that their staff would become victims of the dangerous environment without proper security escorts. The lack of security left an entire floor of the jail without adequate access to care because it was simply too dangerous for the health care workers to go inside. Medication and treatment are often impeded by flooding in the unit, power outages, and the unavailability of officer escorts. This lack of care in the Fulton County Jail has led to at least 17 non-homicide, non-suicide deaths in 2022 and 2023.
Glad you made it, Cheryl.
A rate that is more than twice the national average since 2019. A detainee who reported chest pain later died of a heart attack. Jail failed to assess a man for rapid weight loss before he died, much like LaShawn Thompson, who died after losing over 30 pounds in 3 months. These figures likely underreport the true death toll of people who were transported out of the jail to Grady Hospital and died outside of the jail walls.
And
someone dies in the jail, there's
ultimately,
little
Fannie
effort
Willis
by
won.
the jail to determine the root cause of their death.
She's a down.
75% of the people who have died in Fulton County Jail since 2021 had a current mental health diagnosis or a history of mental illness.
Yeah.
Perhaps unsurprisingly,
Cheryl.
the mental health treatment options and suicide prevention practices are grossly inadequate in Fulton County Jail. Our team observed firsthand how custody staff deprioritize mental health issues and fail to respond appropriately to concerns.
Yes, it is.
Requests for mental health treatment are delayed or
Cheryl.
ignored, and mental health staff are simply unable to provide the minimum standard of care for those who need it. Daily medication is often unavailable, and suicidal detainees are often isolated and locked in restrictive housing in lieu of treatment. And when people are released from the Fulton County Jail, they are frequently left without the medication needed to sustain their health, without notice to their families, and sometimes actively experiencing a mental health episode. This is not a recipe for ensuring the safety of these individuals upon release or the safety of our community, and it is constitutionally unacceptable. Finally, I'd like to speak about a population in the Fulton County Jail that many may not know exists, a population of 17-year-old boys and girls. All of the constitutional violations that I've discussed today apply with equal force to the young people housed at Rice Street and the annex facilities. The average stay of a 17-year-old in the Fulton County Jail is 392 days. In that time, they are particularly and uniquely at risk for violence, lack of access to mental health care, risk of suicide while in isolation and restricted housing. During the team's tour of the South Annex, they learned the boys there were held in their cells for 22 hours or more, frequently. The girls housed at Rice Street fare no better. And to the extent that these young people require a kind of specialized educational programs that are called for by federal law, they are not getting them. In fact, no educational services of any kind are provided to the 17-year-old detainees in Fulton County. These young people deserve better.
Mm-hmm.
You see that our report lays out the bare minimum measures to Fulton County Jail must take to comply with its obligations under the Constitution and federal law. We are appreciative of the cooperation of Fulton County Sheriff thus far, and we look forward to working with them going forward to remedy these civil rights violations in the weeks and months to come. The Northern District of Georgia prioritizes the protection and enforcement of civil rights for our district's most vulnerable residents. We are grateful for the impactful partnership of our colleagues from the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. We would not be here today without their collaboration. 2022, when I became U.S. Attorney, we formalized our tradition of civil rights work in this office. It's a tradition that dates back to the very first United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia.
About the government?
We did so by formally establishing a public integrity and civil rights section. It's talented, dedicated team of assistant U.S. attorneys, investigators,
you have to watch how you talk.
Paralegals, legal assistants, and even interns are to be commended for this work. This team is comprised of people who are citizens of this district, people who live in Fulton County and work every day in Fulton County. They have spent countless hours in the Fulton County Jail speaking with the men, women, and young people housed at the Fulton County Jail. I'm proud to be their colleague. I'm grateful for their relentless effort in upholding the rule of law, advancing the public safety, and protecting civil rights. That's our mission. We relish the opportunity to fight for the rule of law, for the safety of our citizens, and for the civil rights of every human being who lives in the Northern District of Georgia. We do so because our Constitution and our mission mandate equal justice under the law for everyone. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to stop it there so we can discuss it. You know, this has angered me for quite a while. You know, those of us that watched the YSL trial remember back in June when little Woody got put in jail for the weekend, which was a bunch of BS, but that's for another stream. He described the condition for him. Being put in a cell with feces on the wall. That the toilet didn't work. That if he wanted to use the toilet was overflowing and the, I'll call it stuff, was on the floor. That's beyond disgraceful. You know, I'm a former jail chaplain. This is not how we're supposed to keep these young men. The lawyers go into the jail, but they don't go into the back part of the jail. They have a separate meeting area in the front of the jail where the lawyers go in and meet with their clients. Yeah. You know, when I was a jail chaplain, nut juice. When I was a jail chaplain, you know, the place was clean when I went in there. I was a jail chaplain in Illinois. And I quit because I didn't see myself making any difference. You know? Yeah. The employees there are part of the problem. The employees let the inmates run the jail. And when they don't do what they want, they tase them. They described at the beginning of the press conference that one guy, the taser is supposed to be a round, I'll call it an object. It's flat that hits your body and then tases you. They tased this guy so many times that the electrodes were embedded in the skin of his neck. That's just disgraceful. The jail needs to be shut down. They need to build a new jail. Yep. You know, this really breaks my heart. Because I know that some of these guys are guilty and have done bad things, but they need to be housed in humane conditions. Yeah, Cheryl, it's unbelievable. But had little Woody not testified in open court in June that they did not feed him all weekend, he got no food for the whole weekend. He got no food for the whole weekend. He described the conditions of his cell. He was put in 3 different cells, and he said the one cell had feces on the wall, the toilet didn't work, was overflowing, was filled with nut juice, and it's just heartbreaking to think that the people in Fulton County don't care about these young men. If they cared, that jail would be fixed. They don't care. That's the way I look at it. They don't care. And the person who's responsible for putting them there is Fannie Willis, and they just reelected her. They should be upset, but I'll bet they're not. You know? Yeah, there's no cleaning crew there. No accountability, no presser today. She's the one holding them there. Yep, that's right. She is the one holding them there. And she keeps arresting these young men. You know, I get upset over Jeffrey Williams' situation, and that doesn't mean that I slight any of the others. He had no priors, no prior convictions for anything. He had no prior conditions for anything. Brian Steele pleaded with the previous court to give him bond, to give him an ankle monitor, because he has kidney problems, that he needs to be at home where he can get the proper medication. Hey, CMT, welcome. And Judge Glanville said no bail. So Jeffrey Williams has been in jail in those conditions. He was finally moved to Cobb County. Okay, Steph, we'll be here. Take care of your kids. No bond. They can't talk to their families. If they do talk to their families, it's all recorded. It's disgraceful. It's beyond disgraceful. You know, I started looking into this a little bit and heard that there was a federal investigation Yeah. Keep sharing my channel, people. You know, I'm up to 132 subs, and I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy talking about different subjects. Yes, justice for Shane Kendall. That is Rachel Kaufman is the family's lawyer. You know, that whole situation is just disgraceful. She told ADA Love up front that Shane had mental health conditions, that he could not be confined. Love never told the court, and they put him in jail. And like, I think it was 2 months later, he was found dead. Yeah, you can't sue the DA because in Fulton County, the DA is immune, and her whole office are immune from prosecution. So Love and Hilton and Abadi, Adams, no, they cannot be sued. We just, um, Ashley Merchant just went through this. She had to sue because the county refused to recognize that she had a right to have open records. And they actually had an Ashley Merchant rule that if Ashley Merchant called, you don't talk to her. And she won her lawsuit in front of Judge Krause. If Judge Krause was the judge in YSL, his trial would be a whole bunch different, because Judge Krause don't take no crap from nobody. Yeah, Fanny did not show up. It's federal law, Zach, that the DA's, and it's in every state, that the DA and the DA's office are immune from prosecution. You know, you and I and all of us may think that it's um, yeah, the jail is not immune from prosecution. Rachel Kaufman actually involved in suing the county and suing the jail for the wrongful death of her client. Yeah, they're lying like a rug. Hey, North Media. Yeah, the issue, North Media, is that Fannie Willis has been in office, I think, almost 4 years, 3 or 4. This is her second term, and she's done nothing to try and fix it. Yeah, Judge Krause. Yeah, you have to sue the county. You have to do it in civil court. Yeah, hit the like button. Oh, excuse me. And here's another thing. Tell your friends to come and listen. Let's get the subs on this channel up. Yeah. See, Cheryl, the Jim Jordan issued a subpoena for her to show up in Washington, D.C., and he had to hire the U.S. Marshals to deliver the subpoena because she refused to accept the subpoena via email. They had to hand deliver it to her, and then she said that she can't be sued, so she doesn't have to go. Yeah. The outside of the jail looks almost like brand new, but the inside is just trashed. They said there's great big holes in the walls in between the cells that the inmates can just go back and forth between the cells. Yeah, she has zero accountability. You know, here's something that I keep pointing out to people. My mouth gets me in a lot of trouble, but here we go, you know. Okay, Fulton County is 90% Democrat. People complain about Courtney Kramer. Courtney Kramer got 35% of the vote in a 90% Democrat. They elect her because they believe her BS. Yeah, North Media. That was the point that I was trying to get to, and I got sidetracked. Is that the DA insists on holding everybody without bond. Jeffrey Williams from YSL had no prior arrest record, and ADA Love told the court that he was a danger to the community, and so they held him without bail for 2.5 years. How can he be a danger to the community when he has no priors and, you know, he had kidney problems. He needed to be at home so he could go for treatments. Denied. Brian Steele said the plea that at one point Jeffrey had gained 75 pounds. And he's supposed to be on a specific diet because of his kidney problems. Right. That's my whole point. How can he be a danger to the community when he was making millions of dollars and giving money back to his community? You know, I believe you're right, Cheryl. It's jealousy. It's all about being jealous. Yeah, that's another thing, CMT. Fannie never campaigned in Fulton County. She was getting money from DC and California. That's right. Um, Trump's AG can make a difference. Trump's AG can file federal charges in the civil, what would they call it? Because the attorney today said that the jail broke these individuals' civil rights and their constitutional rights. Yeah, Gates is coming in hot. I like Gates. When I lived in Florida, I did not like him because there was rumors going around of him being involved in SA assaults of minors. Well, they did the investigation. They found it was not him. It was his law partner. But North Media was just pointing out that Courtney Kramer got 35% of the vote in a 90% Democratic county. To me, that speaks volumes. It's not like, you know, Fannie ran unopposed and got all the vote. Courtney Kramer got 35% of the vote in a 90% Democrat county. To me, that speaks volumes. You know, what they need is for a Democrat who's not a left wing loon to run against her. It only takes 51 votes, North Media, for him to get approved. It only takes 51 votes. That's why us having 53 votes makes a difference, because we can lose 3 senators and J.D. Vance can go in and break the tie and he's the AG. Right. Fulton County makes you select. Yeah. See, I really like Courtney Kramer. You know, people say, oh, she ran a bad campaign. Well, she's running as a Republican and a majority Democrat. And what I saw is that when Empress Fox had her protest, Courtney Kramer went. Courtney Kramer talked to Empress Fox, talked to different people that were there. Jeffrey Williams' dad endorsed Courtney Kramer. He said, "I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I will never vote for another Democrat ever again." Some states, like I live in Montana, and you can declare Republican, Democrat, or Independent. But some states you have to declare Republican or Democrat. Yeah, unscripted questions. Yep, she done this to him. See, there's some backstory here that we need to discuss. And those of us that watched the YSL trial have heard all the rumors. And well, I'm not a gossiper. No, North Media. It only takes, see, if 50 Republican senators vote for Gates. J.D. Vance comes in and breaks the tie. It's 51. He's the AG. They don't need 60 votes. They need 51 votes. I know that she win, tried, and it shows that she tried because she got 35% of the vote in a 9% Democrat district. That says a lot. See, if this report had come out last month, that would have made a difference because, what people are not talking about is that, yes, while the current set of YSL members are on trial, there's 12 more behind them. There are 4,000 outstanding R kits that have not been processed. 4,000. And I don't think that got talked about at all. Courtney Kramer was talking about it, but it didn't get covered, I don't think. Yeah. That's another thing. Kamala Harris. She got given $1 billion. Think about this, $1 billion. The day after her campaign, she was $20 million in debt. And she was given $1 billion. Not $1 million, $1 billion. And she spent all of that money plus another 20 million. Well, then Atlanta is going to be screwed up like this forever. Which is sad to see, We should all want the city to improve. I'm talking about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's campaign was given $1 billion with a B, and she ran for president for 3 months. And the day after, she was $20 million in debt. And also, it's been proven that Kamala Harris is not black. Kamala Harris's dad, and Candace Owen proved this. She did Ancestry deep dive on her. Her dad is half Indian and half Irish, and he was born in the rich white section of Jamaica. That does not make him black. Her mom was from India. I'm not, talking about, her race being bad or anything like that. I follow the facts. I follow facts. And you can ask anyone that knows me on this channel, and they will tell you that I follow facts. Okay, so here's facts. That podcast that Kamala did, the sex podcast, she had to pay $100,000 for them to build the set. Oprah Winfrey charged her $1 million to show up and give an endorsement. Republicans don't charge to give an endorsement. No, her dad is not from Africa. Her dad is half Indian. This isn't about race, but I'm just stating facts here. Her dad is half Indian and half Irish, and he was just born in the rich white section of Jamaica. This is not about race. It's about ethics in public office. Is right, CMT. Yeah, I'm not anti-race or bigot or anything like that. I just believe in facts. Go watch Candace Owens' Ancestry podcast, where she did a deep dive into Kamala's background, and she'll show you the truth. I like Candace Owens. I like her a lot. I don't agree with her all the time, but I do like her. Yeah, Mungtunk and Quindarius Zachary both testified to the conditions. Let's get back to the conditions of the jail. We got off on a side tangent there. It's about ethics in public office. That's about right. We have allowed. Now I'm a lifelong conservative, and I'm part American Indian. North media, you're not right about your facts. Look at the financial records from the Harris campaign. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the actual financial records from her campaign. If you want me to do a deep dive on Kamala's campaign and what she spent, I will be happy to do that. It will take me a couple of days to get the records. Yeah. You know, I covered this on one of my previous lives. Trump has made so much of a difference in the world since getting reelected. I know this is off topic, but it's important. North media, Donald Trump is not a racist, and he has hired more people of color than you will realize. And if you keep this up, talking about race, you'll be put in timeout. Right, you're right, CMT. This is about ethics. Right. Candace Owens did a deep dive. Candace Owens had members of Kamala's family call her and tell her information. Yeah, we did. Yes, I agree, Cheryl. What worries me with Candace Owens is she tendency to sometimes be a bomb thrower. She throws stuff out before she does her research. Sometimes, not always. I like Judge Joe Brown. Right. They don't like the truth. First Amendment rights comes fight back to Jeffrey. Right. Well, I'm sorry that you won't watch again, North Media, but we don't talk about race here. We're not racist here, and we don't condone it. Right. Yep. Do research. I do tons of research. I do tons of research. Judge Joe Brown is a trip. I love Judge Joe Brown. I put him in timeout because, everybody here that knows me knows I don't condone racist comments. I look at the facts. Yeah, some people be lacking is right, CMT. Yeah, too many people are not aware of the facts. And that comes from the education system in this country hand feeding stuff to students what the teacher wants them to believe instead of allowing the student to form their own mind and have their own thoughts. So, thank you. I do tons of research. Well, we've been on for over an hour, so I'm gonna end it here. Um, we'll come back tomorrow in the afternoon about this time. I'll try to do 4:30. Does that work for everybody? $4:30 okay for everybody tomorrow? Right. They're molding them the wrong way. We'll do a deep dive on that tomorrow at 4:30. I got a lot to say about the education system. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Thumbs up, everybody. Thank you all for stopping by. See you tomorrow.